And we're live. What does the fox say?
Ding, 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 ding.
That's so funny.
Shit. It is. It's great.
Yo, moo. What up? I wish it had hands at least, or hooves.
Yeah, I think that has to be in like Zoom's next update, right? Like limbs and appendages.
Yeah.
I mean, the
But
fact that it gets its facial recognition down so well is pretty impressive.
Yeah, it's like left and right, up, down. It's pretty accurate. Shout out to everybody who's tuning in. Much appreciated. If you're watching on X, go ahead and hit that repost. If you're watching on Twitter, go ahead and retweet. You know, I feel like it's still the same. It just depends on like what mindset you have. Like I'm telling people like, oh, can you repost that? And they're like, what? I was like, yeah, retweet it. And they're like, okay, I got you.
for real.
So retweet or repost, share it out. Go ahead and give Toki a follow. TOKIBUSA on Twitter. How goes it, bro?
Doing great, doing great. Honestly, glad to talk to you guys again after NFT NYC.
Oh man, that was
Yeah,
that was an
buddy.
adventure.
Most definitely. Honestly, the videos of the yacht party that you guys went to, that was crazy.
That was a lot of fun. Yeah.
It was more fun than I signed up for. You know, Jim. Shout out to Jim from the Pigeons of New York. He kind of, shilled this as like more of a subtle, yacht party for networking, and it was only loud inside on the first floor, like the second floor. Like if you went inside downstairs, it was a little quieter, and outside was obviously pretty quiet, but it was just cold. And I was like, man, I just turn off the music so we can all talk about crypto.
Yeah, for real, right?
Like I'm dead ass, bro. I had to stop my intrusive thoughts because I just kept wanting to be like that guy who was like, yo, can you turn this down? Like this is like a 50-foot room. It doesn't have to be that loud.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun though.
So much
I had a
fun.
good time being on the water. I got a little anxiety when we left the dock because I didn't realize we had moved. And I was like, hey, the water's moving fast. I was like, oh no, wait, we're moving.
Yeah.
then-
Toki, guess what we got? Dude, I got to smoke with Snoop Dogg's chef. I got to meet Cubo.
What?
Yeah. Yeah, it was
Yo, that's
Yeah.
awesome.
It was awesome, dude. Because it's awesome for two reasons, right? One, it's like, oh, cool, celebrities ties, 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon. That's cool, Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, yeah.
Second part was, I didn't know who the fuck he was for a while, and like he was just super me. Like he just like a colorful, happy, bubbly, talkative, super friendly person. And I had a weed pen, right? So like, we had to go through like TSA security to get on the yacht.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They didn't fuck around. Like it wasn't just like, oh, come on, bring some fucking drugs on. Like it was like legit. They went through all of our shit because it was like a legit, safe event. So like a lot of people lost their, drugs trying to get weed on the boat. It wasn't like they owned the yacht. It was through a company making sure nothing crazy happened. So anyway, I snuck some stuff on because we were at the yacht party line like an hour before the yacht party opened. And I was just talking to all the security, making friends. And he saw the weed pen come out of my pocket. And I was just like, just a vape. And he was like, all right. And I got to have my weed pen on the yacht. So I was like the only dude with weed on the yacht, smoking with Cubone. And then Russ comes up and he's like, yeah, this is Snoop Dogg Chef. And I'm like, oh, this just got cooler. I just thought I like met my yin yang twin. Like this dude's so bubbly. He's so friendly. And he's a big guy. You would like, think more of an intimidating factor. It's just like his personality was so crypto on point, degen.
Yeah,
I
he
mean,
was really cool.
Can you even blame it? Like that seems to be like the best way to get your introductions into people. Or just you're going to an event, you see someone there, you just click for a second, and you're like, all right, we're gonna be bros for the rest of the night. And
Yeah.
then someone comes up to you and you're like, do you have any idea who you're talking to? And you're like, not a clue, but this guy is dope.
Exactly what
For real.
happened, bro. It was like an eye-opening moment where I'm just like, oh yeah, that's right. I'm kind of in an environment where like people outside of the circles I'm used to can wander into, right? So it's like I started to look around, and there's quite like the Pigeons of New York, respect, they had quite a bit of status in the room, and they didn't use it for like marketing ploy, gimmicky, shilly, like clout clinging crap. Like it was just like, oh, this person just so happens to be this person in real life, but they're also here on this yacht with you. And I was just I just wanted to say I respect them for not using that opportunity in ways. I've seen a lot of crypto projects use those opportunities. You know, it's like, Ryan Reynolds is our advisor. It's on the white paper. All because, like, he was at your cousin's wedding or something. Like, oh yeah, we have a relationship. We're partners.
He said my idea was cool whenever I mentioned to him.
Yeah, dude.
That's hilarious.
He's an advisor. He told me it was cool. He advised me that I'm cool.
That's funny.
So I guess
right.
let people know a little bit about yourself, dude. Some of the stuff that you're involved in, and we can use that to kind of apply to NFT NYC and the conversations moving forward.
Of course, of course. So again, Tokibusa. You can definitely find me on Twitter anytime. Always feel free to hit up the DMs; they're always open. I am currently working for a Bitcoin mining company called Quantum Expeditions as a marketing director. And then I'm also doing a lot of AI artwork with my colleague Mochi. So Mochi and I have been going back for years now, and we've honestly been getting into like a lot of what AI artwork can do, what upscaling can do, and how you can start to build out storylines with the AI artwork. And so it's been a lot of fun to see what all is being created inside the NFT and ordinal space, and seeing what we can potentially even work ourselves into in the long run.
Dope. Man, since we have you here, I kind of want to pick your brain about this. What are your thoughts on, the halvening from the miners' perspective? Like, what's their conversation about this halvening, if anything, is different from previous conversations?
So there actually are some crazy things that are different this time around, and it's more because of the institutional money that's involved. So not only do you have some of the home miners completely being kicked out of it at this point because it's no longer profitable for them to do so, but then you also have institutional money like BlackRock being put in through the ETFs. And so there's a certain price point that I don't think Bitcoin can even fall below anymore because of that. And once you have these larger companies kind of pushing around this much Bitcoin, all the miners are really, really excited because it's a lot of transactions. It's a lot of stuff that we have to push through on the network, which means we're usually getting better rewards. And then when you include not only the ordinal community and how much has been expanding there, and how many more, honestly, Bitcoin transactions there are because of the ordinal community, you have to imagine, like, most miners, especially big miners like Marathon and CleanSpark, we're all in a happy place right now. Especially if Bitcoin
Job
will stay over
security.
60K. Yeah, job security at its highest right now.
For real.
It's so great. It's kind of scary though, honestly, especially like when you mentioned the institutional money, and I do, and like you said, like kind of the household miners getting pushed out. I do worry, like the concerns are there for, like just Bitcoin not being Bitcoin anymore. You know what I mean? It's like
Losing the
Right.
decentralization part of it all.
yeah, dude. It's
Yeah.
like we're being
No, I can
priced out of the
definitely
whole
appreciate that.
ideology, right? Like the idea, the belief of, right? Like the cost will be so ineffective. It'll be as if like thinking about going to Mars back in the '90s when we barely just got to the moon. It's like, yeah, it's possible, but like get out of here. It's like we were so
Well-
close. We were so close.
But that's the best part about Bitcoin is that now that a Bitcoin itself is worth so much, now we can look at individual Satoshis and how much they're going to equate to. Because each Bitcoin is made up of how many different Satoshis? Like we have so many opportunities to build upon this. It's going to take ages before we can even mine every single Bitcoin that's available. But then again, Satoshis are going to be better than $1, hopefully.
Yeah, and I think it'll give us a chance to really learn how we need to restructure, the financial world as we know it, because everything is pretty old, when you're considering what technology we're dealing with and how like none of the laws we have for finances are really applicable to crypto and Bitcoin because it's a brand new technology. It's new, it's a new way to transact, I guess, in a sense, and having this value increase and really kind of helps, I guess, bring attention to it. And I think, it'll really enlighten people to the fact of, you don't necessarily have to have, a full Bitcoin, that you can have increments of it and we can use those increments and in different ways, but I think it'll be good. I think the price, will help, but at some point, I think, kind of like what you've talked about before, Ken, is I think people will stop putting a dollar amount to it and just start looking at, the Satoshi part, the sats and the actual increments of it instead of looking at, okay, it's 10 cents, it's 5
Yeah.
cents, it's this many cents. It's
Well,
it's
it's
just
not
one
like our
sat.
parents grew up looking at how much gold their dollar was worth every day, and
Right.
eventually Bitcoin will get to that point with the next generation coming in.
Exactly. I mean, this is just going to be get us back to where it's like, okay, the dollar value is insane and it's out of reach, but let's just ignore that and, look at how many satoshis we have. At least this what this cow thinks. Yeah.
Yeah, dude. I've been having some conversations about mining since I came back into the space, and I personally kind of just found out it is being centralized through the distribution of the hardware through Nvidia. Nvidia's not even allowed to send. Biden did the whole Chip Act, and now China is basically in a space race against Nvidia for hardware for mining, and it's going to get to a point that if you even want to do mining, you're probably going to have to go to a government building, fill out some paperwork, pay just to have it denied, right, a couple times, and then
Right.
hopefully you get approved. You could go to Nvidia, you say, hey, I got the government contract, sell me a miner, and it's going to look like buying a fucking nuclear missile because of all the red tape you're going to have to go through just to get to having a miner. So I feel like people out there should be participating while you can. Unfortunately, they might start the whole Napster kicking down your door shit if they find out you're mining through your internet service provider.
I mean, so yes, you can kind of still Bitcoin mine on some of those, but a lot of it's being moved over to ASICs. And I think that when it comes down to mining on GPUs and a few other options, you don't necessarily need to stick to Bitcoin anymore. Like there are other options available. You can start to let's say mine helium through their 5G opportunities.
So
You
you're
can-
saying let them eat cake. Let them mine cake.
yeah, yeah. I mean, when there's other opportunities available and stuff that you can mine for a better
But it's not an
opportunity or price right
opportunity.
now.
It's not an other opportunity if the one wasn't an opportunity to begin with, right? It's not. It's the
Correct,
only
yeah.
option. It's not an opportunity. It's just your only choice now, and that's the farce of opportunity. Is being able to contribute to Bitcoin in a decentralized way is the only way to keep Bitcoin decentralized. If you can't just choose to participate because of price points, I want us to rug the rich, right? I hope everybody gets all these institutions in on Bitcoin, like BlackRock. I hope Wells Fargo goes all in. I feel bad for Venezuela and El Salvador, but I want us to just rug Bitcoin, pull all the liquidity out, and just throw it in a Doge or some other meme, and that's
Nice.
the real joke on it took us over a decade to convince governments to get involved in this, and now they're trying to take it over, and yeah, let's just pull the rugs. Fuck them.
So, I'll definitely be a bit controversial here, but I genuinely believe that with this new age of currency, yes, Bitcoin will at some place probably replace most global currencies, but Bitcoin isn't the end answer because we know that there's a finite amount. We know that it's not the best overall. Yes, it is the most decentralized. There's no one really in charge of it. Everyone can kind of build on it. But that's not to say that a better technology won't come along and it'll be created and maybe it will be better at decentralizing itself.
What does
Maybe
better
it will
mean to
be
you?
more efficient. In the sense of, let's say a Bitcoin transaction takes 10 to 30 minutes. So let's say we're able to cut down on how much time it takes. We're also able to cut down on how much energy consumption there is through the Bitcoin transaction. So let's say that someone creates a legitimately more efficient token that is also just as equally, if not more than decentralized than Bitcoin would be.
Okay,
So in that situation, not only would you allow for greater transference of the actual, for lack of a better term, energy, but you're also trying to show the rest of the world that, hey, Bitcoin was king, but now he had a son, and now this son is clearly going to take his place because each currency will eventually reach its age where it's no longer as accurate to a store of wealth. Like gold got outpaced several times over. Yes, people still love gold, but we've had the US dollar, we've had all types of backing. We've watched every other country have their own types of currencies. Some of them have failed, some of them have succeeded and stayed where they are today. But again, we know that currencies are not forever, and we know that they can easily change. Some systems could easily go back to a bartering system. We don't know, but as of right now, more often than not, currency is an exchange of energy. And once we get to the point that we just view it as such, I think that'll change the game altogether.
I love that answer. Okay.
Yeah. Very
All right.
true.
Better. I mean, I just want to say, like, I guess better to me would be the legacy, the security in which the blockchain provides to the ledger. You know, its immutability, its unconfiscatability. You know, looking at something that, you know, if something's going to come out that's more secure than Bitcoin, and yeah, but that would take a time machine. You know what I mean when it comes to the level of security that the legacy of the blockchain provides to each new transaction now, it would be hard pressed to say, coming from that perspective, anything can be better than Bitcoin. If you're talking about speed of, you know, transaction, yes, of course, something may be quicker, but better in the sense of secure. Hard pressed to say that'll ever happen. You know, Bitcoin is the honeypot. Everything else
As
is
of
just
right
a
now.
test net for that, you know, that brute force attack.
No, I definitely can definitely appreciate where you're coming from, and I think that there will come a time and place where something that is more secure, is more immutable, is legitimately not confiscatable by the U.S. government, as Bitcoin has been. When you look at stuff like Silk Road, even. I think there's still opportunities for us to expand and create something better. And I'm not saying that Bitcoin isn't the best option right now, because clearly it's shown that it is. But I think that we still have the opportunity to create something better.
You know what the opportunity, dude, I have an idea for your company. You guys could start a whole campaign around this. Miners for miners. Just get everyone underage mining Bitcoin. You know, incriminate the youth. Make all of them like one of us. If we ever have to go to trial, there's just going to be a bunch of like recess. It's going to look like recess in the courtroom. Get the miners mining.
Yeah, for real though. That's a good one. Miners for miners. That's funny.
I mean, think of the what generational wealth they'd be creating at, like, you know, middle school.
Our country and most countries, right? The world isn't above child labor. If you look far enough back, you'll find some miners mining, and it didn't pan out the way pan out. I'm funny. It didn't pan out the way it could for them this time.
So actually, during the whole entire NFT season, I was finding some of the craziest instances of people using children in order to make money. And I mean, absolutely wild. So the one NFT project I was working with, we had a whitelist, of course, and we were talking through some of the people that had earned whitelist, and the one guy was kind of like freaking out because he had lost his whitelist because his name had changed. And so we were like, hey, we can't confirm that this is like the same person. This is why we're going through these steps. Like, if you hadn't changed your name to something completely different, like we still had your Discord code, but usually in this circumstance, we believe that someone has stolen the account more often than not, especially when they don't tell us that they changed their name for the whitelist. So we're going through all these steps with them, and eventually they're telling us like how upset they are and how they're going to be losing all this money. And we were like, well, we're not telling you that you're like this is going to cost you anything or something like that. And he's like, no, you don't understand. I turn over this account to this guy and he's going to give me Robux. And I was like,
nice.
Wait, what?
What?
How old are you?
Robux.
And
wait,
this kid
yeah.
starts explaining to me that he's 7 years old and that he has been joined, he joined into this Discord server where you can go and this person has a task list. And if you go and complete the task by getting a whitelist in some of these projects, you can then turn over your account for Robux, and he'll pay you out in Robux.
Oh my god!
And in this situation, this guy was raking in literally tens of thousands of dollars because he would get the whitelist spots and then flip them immediately, and he would get tons of kids to do this. So it's like minimal investment on his end.
Jesus Christ!
Oh yeah,
dude, me and Mickey were literally just talking about this privately, and then we had a small conversation about this with the Asvoria team. But since we're like building, you know, spatial web environments, me and Mickey were thinking like, yo, kids are going to be involved. Like, we were talking about bringing back the Dare program, but more like, you know, drugs in the metaverse kind of a vibe. Like, stay off rugs. You know what I mean? And dude, like, this is exactly why though we need to do something in the Web3 space for kids and stuff. Like, the metaverse sweatshops are fucking real, bro. Me and Miggy were like just like, oh, how crazy would this be? And like the next day we're having a conversation with you about this. Is like, yeah, dude, we definitely need to get something in this industry specifically for keeping kids safe, because they're going to be taking advantage of, just like that child you mentioned that's 7 years old. Just, here's a task list, go do. And like, because of like their gamer mentality, that's like, they can do it. Like, you just give them tasks and they can achieve, because they're used to doing that at the computer. It's not even outside their mental capacity at 7.
Not even remotely. And the worst part was, is like, we tried to have someone join into the server that he was talking about by using one of those accounts, and we found out that there was like over 300 kids in there, and that was just
crazy.
the first
It's an
server
entire
that we
middle
found.
school.
Damn.
Oh yeah. So that was one of 4 different servers that we were notified about during just what, like a 4-month time period.
Yeah, dude.
It was crazy.
How do we
Absolutely
obfuscate
crazy.
something like that and just do it the right way, guys? I hope somebody's listening and they're just going to steal all my ideas and make like this great environment for children. If not, me and Miggy are going to have to fucking do it in Asvoria.
I mean, I would love for there to be a place where, like, honestly, kids can get rewarded for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think that currently there are any safeguards in any of this situation. I mean, yes, Discord says, oh, you have to be 13. Wow, like, no one ever lied to open a MySpace or any of those things. Like, come on now, guys.
Do you remember abcmouse.com?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It was an early learning academy, and I was pretty big on it, like getting my nieces and nephews, or like, you know, because I was in high school, and you know, at the time friends in high school were having kids, so it's like talking to somebody who's 18 with a 4-year-old, and they're like, hey man, you should get your kid in class with us, essentially. Like, you know, since we're doing homework together, maybe get your kid studying. And abcmouse.com was one of those like platforms I always kind of push people to, and I don't know, something like that for like, you know, Web3 or like NFT mouse doc. I just, maybe we'll reach out to them or something. But yeah, there has to be something for the youth in this space, because they're like, I remember being a kid wandering into an AOL chat room thinking I'm talking to another 14-year-old girl, sending my dick to some dude in his mom's basement. You know, it's like, definitely wish there was a class in school that wasn't just word processing when it came to using the computer.
I don't think that teachers nowadays can fully comprehend the amount of actual things that are going wrong with kids online. And most schools, because they rely so heavily on online programs now, I don't think that even they realize how many times they've been compromised, or how many times that their video feeds have been compromised. Like, how many schools, realistically, do you think during the COVID or the pandemic, do you think actually had failures in their system, and all their recordings are stolen? I honestly think that there's so many out there that we just haven't been told about.
Yeah, it's just big money in that, man.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's insane.
No, dude. Miggy,
We
you got
need
a
to
kid.
start
What do
it.
you think about this shit, dude? What are you doing to,
I mean-
like, prepare your kid for, like, the you know, the world in which Web3 is their, you know, daily interaction? Because I remember growing up, you know, my mom, you know, was over my shoulder every time I was on the computer. I'd have to, like, sneak downstairs to, you know, use it at 2 a.m. and hope I didn't get caught. But, you know, you hear the...
Well, I mean, yeah, dial-up totally threw you off. got me several
That's
times for sure.
After a while, you learn how to unplug the motherfucking speakers from the tower, dude.
Oh my god,
That's
you
too
had
funny.
to.
I mean, for myself, I don't live with my daughter, so it's a little different because she lives in another state with her mom. So, for one, I just have to trust that her mom, you know, is doing the things that she needs to do. But personally, what I think is most important, for one, is for me to set a good example for her. You know, like to be consistent with the kind of person that I am, and the kind of things that I do. We're friends on Snapchat, so she sees my snaps. I think she's on Instagram too, so she sees my Instagram. And so I just try to be consistent with what I post and, what I show and what I share, because I know that she's watching. And secondly, I think that like having just communication is important. So that way, if anything does come up, or she experiences anything or encounters anything, that she'll be able to talk to me about it or let me know, and not know that she won't get in trouble, even if it was something she was curious about or something. But the intricacies of it is going to be a little bit harder, because these are things that I do plan on talking with her about, but she doesn't really have a computer right now, so she doesn't get too much on it. I mean, she's on her phone, so that's a little basically the same, but she's 14, so my plan is, as I'm able to spend more time with her, that I will be able to talk with her about things that she's going to encounter, especially with this kind of technology as she grows up. I'm just trying to find more things, honestly, that she can relate to and be kind of interested in, because as of right now, there really isn't much that a 14-year-old girl would be interested in.
What? She's not into like
stuff.
Fuck the Banks and Ed the Fed, dude?
Right. I mean, the gaming is where I'm trying to get her involved in, first and foremost. But yeah, so it's a process, but it is something that I think of. But that's at least my approach to it.
So, Miggy, I definitely have kids as well, and it's really an interesting case as far as how the internet works and how you actually can incorporate stuff into their lives. As of right now, my kid decided to pour orange juice on the router, so they don't have internet at the house right now. I only have internet at my office, which means that it's a lot of DVDs.
Nice.
Tried to like find some hookups for a VHS player that didn't work out. But yeah, a lot of DVDs, a projector, and honestly, just good times just chilling with that, because right now they don't really need the internet that much. I mean, sure, Disney Plus is great. You can watch Bluey if you want to. But beyond that, I don't know, there's a lot of stuff out there that the content doesn't always necessarily match up with the message that I want to push either to my kids. And sometimes there's stuff like, I don't know if you've ever seen shows like Coco Melon, but those kids ain't got nothing going on behind those eyes, and it's terrifying.
Right.
Yeah, no, I feel that, dude. I don't trust anybody who lets their kids watch Caillou.
Yes.
That's like,
watch that with our kids.
you could leave your kid in the car
It's
with the windows
Caillou.
rolled up. I won't judge you.
That's
Just don't let
too
them watch
funny.
Caillou.
No, I support your message.
You know what?
Yeah,
You know,
that's
dude. You know what's the most
funny.
terrifying kid show? And it was like right at like where I was old enough where I'm like watching Dragon Tales still for fun while I'm getting high. You know what I mean?
Dragon
Like I'm still
Tales.
way too young for this adult lifestyle. But like Teletubbies when they came out, bro,
Oh, gosh,
dude,
that
like
was
I
freakish.
didn't know what MK Ultra was, but when I found out about MK Ultra, I was like, that's fucking Teletubbies. Like that's fucking
Yeah,
Teletubbies.
for real though.
It's
Subliminal
a whole
messaging.
different lifestyle.
Yeah, and there's so much, that to try to avoid that it's impossible. So that's why I think
Yeah.
for me the best approach is just building a good character for your kids, and and opening a line of communication. So they're gonna do weird shit. They're gonna experience weird stuff, but like the predatory stuff, the dangerous stuff, the money stuff, like at least that way they can be like, hey, this happened to me, and I
Oh, yeah.
got into this chat room, and they
Could
asked
you
me to
imagine
send them-
somebody finding out who your kid is, like using that as OPSEC to get them to give them like the router number, like just like, oh,
Right.
go up to that thingy next to the computer and give me that number, and I'll give you this Fortnite skin. Like, oh shit.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
I mean,
So-
that stuff totally happens nowadays already. People will meet inside random group chats, Discord services. Like I don't think people realize how many people are on Discord that are under 13. Like you really
Right.
got to be careful about like what you're doing, and sometimes what some of the projects are that you're in.
Dude, I hate
Where-
that too, though. I mean, I love that kids are involved in this space. I hate the synonymousness of it because I'm the worst for self-censoring. Like, I curse around my nephew and I don't like it. Like, I judge myself on it, but it's not like I just don't have it in me to self-censor in that
Yeah.
way. So I try not to be in those environments. I'm not like the guy always around kids, like my nieces and nephews. I have to make sure I'm very thoughtful of my actions and words the whole entire time they're in my presence. And then I get on a video game, and that thought process goes out the window. I'm playing, Apex Legends. I got 2 people killed. All 3 of my teammates are alive. I get shot, and they all die by one guy. And I'm just like, you fucking idiot. And like, I'm sorry, mister. I'm like, I'm sorry. I'm so sorry. Like, the fact that we got to this point with like the gaming space not having a gate to keep children safe from people like me, like even accidentally corrupting the youth, it's fucked up, bro. There has to be something for Web3, and none of these projects, not one of them, are taking into consideration like the different experiences that minors versus adults should have when using those platforms. Not one is thinking about like the how old are you verification. You're like, we're all infinite years old. Age is just a construct. We're all foxes and cows. Who cares how old you are?
Let's think back to the time of like, Call of Duty Black Ops, when every once in a while you'd have that 10-year-old just start talking about how he fucked your mom, and you're like, well, this is awkward.
Yeah, but that 10-year-old's 25 now.
Deeper.
You know what I mean, dude?
Yeah.
The new 10-year-olds are not ready for that shit. There was a progressive level to getting into those conversations. Now you just turn on the console and you're just racist, all kinds of weird. Like, it's just failness right out of the gate. I'm with you, man. Like, the early Call of Duty days made me who I am, and I feel like a lot of that it is beneficial, but it's because of the leapfrogging, the S curve. There isn't a smooth ride from like the AOL chat room to the Call of Duty chat. It's just boom, I know where you live. I got your IP address. Like, wait, what? Like, right. I'm sorry I called you an idiot. Like, now my life is ruined because you hacked. The risk reward to those conflicts are just 10x now. It's scary.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Especially swatting. Oh my god.
Yes, exactly what I'm talking about, dude. I didn't have to worry about that growing up, but now kids 100% have to worry about getting swatted just because somebody didn't like the way they played in the game.
Right.
I mean, I'm trying to think of the one guy that I was watching on YouTube fairly regularly, but he had a kill switch. So that way, if anything happened, there was like a few second delay between what was going on his screen and what was actually going on in real life. And so he got swatted like 6 times. And that kill switch would just pop off before anything that you could even see that they were getting swatted or anything like that. So it's still like a terrifying thing to have happen to you, I'm sure. Like he was very emotional about the fact of like it's a very intense situation when someone is pounding through your door with guns and they're like, where's the hostage? And you're like,
yeah,
I'm playing a video game.
I mean, dude, it's only going to get worse. Nobody saw that coming when we were in the 90s, early 2000s, like talking shit and messing with each other. Like, worst case scenario, your friend forgot to log out of Facebook when he was at your house, so you'd post something on his Facebook and mess with him or something, make him think he was hacked. Like, we were just trolling and having fun, but now, like, what's the next thing we don't see coming? Like, the stuff with Web3, with crypto, with NFT, like, I am beyond terrified of people getting like dusted with like CP transactions, and then next thing you know, you're in court defending your freedoms because somebody set you up, and it's really, really not hard in this space. I could send you microtransactions for a year to make it look like you are actively receiving these things, and the fact that you didn't say nothing, that's illegal. You're entrapped. I got you. So, like, these next things we don't know, it's beyond even the imagination that I can even touch on here. Like, that thing is going to be even worse than swatting and getting doxxed and having your nudes leaked, like the whole Applegate, the iCloud gate or whatever.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
The fappening. Yeah, dude, all that. Imagine it 100 times, 1,000 times worse. People killed themselves over those acts that happened. So it's just like, if we don't start thinking about that now, it's going to get to a point where it is way too late, which we're probably at with like Fortnite now, and having a different experience for adults versus kids. We literally throw a 5-year-old and a 35-year-old into a tournament in Vegas and say, here, go play together. What are you saying?
I mean, it's a little bit different when it does come to some of those things, because like you want to see younger people succeed. And I do think that to some
So we
degree,
put an successful basketball player that's 12 years old in the NBA, like just because it's pandering
Nah.
to the worst like result.
I can agree with you there. I can agree with you there. But I'm saying you don't always like want to hold people back either. And I feel like sometimes society needs to take the time to figure out the value of someone learning the lesson of being like, okay, it may take a little bit more time or a little bit more age to be able to understand these concepts, but sometimes you can't always just jump every single goalpost in order to get to where you want to be. Sometimes you really do have to take some time and actually start to, I don't know, grow your brain a little bit more.
Moo, grow that brain. Yeah, I mean it's true. But I think as far as like the Web3 projects and stuff like that are concerned, I think the biggest thing is just most of them just don't consider, lower age groups at all because their target audience is set at a much higher age, which I think is very, problematic. Like we should be considering the much younger, group and youth, especially, education in this area because they're the ones that are going to be using this the most. Like, they're the ones that are going to be building this technology forward, and they should be at least have some level of protection or education in how to.
I don't want to say
themselves,
safe space,
things
but
like
they
that.
need a safe space.
Yeah, it's just everybody does, adults, kids. I mean, we all need it. And as far as this technology is concerned, like you're saying, Ken, there's going to be new issues that are going to come up, especially when we're trying to combine metaverses and have open worlds where there's very few restrictions on the people that get in, and
Yeah, you can't have your
very few
red light
restrictions.
district right next to Disneyland.
Yeah, exactly. So it's just gonna be, a tug, a push and pull, with decentralization and all this stuff, and just for projects to remember, like, hey, we do want kids as a part of our audience as well, and we do want kids involved in this space and in this technology. So we have to consider, like, do we want our product to be, all age friendly, or is this going to be something where we have to have a restriction notice where, hey, this is only 18 and up,
Yup.
and we're going to do things to prevent people that are not 18 and up from being a part of this.
That's why I was a big advocate
So-
for Miss Teen Crypto. She was the one going to high schools and talking to her peers in a way in which they could relate and absorb the information, not just hear it, but actually listen to it.
No, I definitely agree with you. Randy did a great job with that, and even her current work as far as like suicide prevention and everything like that. She's doing a lot for people at that age and people transitioning from high school into, let's say, the real world. There's a lot of differences compared to what it used to be. Like the job market's completely different. What you can do on the day to day on social media is completely different.
Yeah.
How you got through high school, quite honestly, is completely different. Like,
Yeah.
arguably, like, what is it? The core method for a lot of this, the Common Core method for math.
Mhm.
Sometimes the English seems to have changed a little bit because the way that I used to use an apostrophe when like there was the word but, it's completely different now. My
But.
phone tells me that I don't know what the hell I'm doing. I'm like, wait a minute, I went through English class.
It goes
I
after
thought I
but,
knew
not
grammar.
before but, because you can't start a
Yeah.
sentence with but.
Right.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But
Well, you know
that's
what,
funny.
dude? I
But
have a
not anymore.
conspiracy theory on this, man. Like, the reason that, they're changing math and they're changing, like, language in a way right now is because it'll set up the youth when they are at the middle age of society to where we're at conflict with the elder, which is us. We will be the elder age of society. We won't even know how to have a conversation because we don't have the same word definitions, or even mathematically being like number is the most universal language, period, and math is now being converted into a new language in which parents can't even help their children with remedial basic math. They're changing that so we cannot have a fruitful conversation 50 years from now. It's definitely a long game, but if you look at like movies like Idiocracy, you can kind of see like, oh, this is how you get there. Like, oh, it has electrolytes. It's what the plants crave. Like we're literally at the precipice of that generation being those who run the world in 80 years. Like Brondo.
So I'm currently attending classes at Penn State in State College, Pennsylvania. Most of it's online, but I do take one in person. And we had a discussion the other day where someone was using the third person plural term of they, as in like that group, essentially. And
Improper
they're like,
English.
oh,
Mhm.
well, this person was talking about how they, as in the group, were trying to do something, and during the middle of the discussion, someone spoke up and they're like, that's not, you're not saying it right. And the person just kind of turned and was like, what are you talking about? And like, they only refers to a certain group of people. And we're like, I don't understand. Because I'm sitting there with another veteran. And so, like, how I talk in comparison to how someone that just got out of high school talks is completely different, apparently. And so I had to like talk to essentially my colleague and be like, hey, we got to use completely different terms if you want to get your point across. Otherwise, we're going to get stuck here.
Mhm.
And I don't think it's going to work out in your favor because I just don't think I know your viewpoints and I
Yeah.
don't need them spreading it at this
Yeah,
point.
no, I mean, if you're the only smart person in the room, you're by default the retard.
Yeah, kind of. But you don't want to argue with someone when like the few people around them are like, "Oh yeah, no, they're definitely right," and you're like, "But that's not how grammar works." But that's
Dude,
I guess
don't-
that's the difference of what
it's
grammar
happening
was
in
then
crypto,
versus
dude,
now.
right now. Me and Miggy were just talking about this as well. Meme coin versus meme token, and the vernacular definition of that word. It's like, it's like what happened with metaverse in the past 3 years. The word has been abused to a point that you can't even get to a fucking consensus definition. Metaverse does not have a consensus definition. It doesn't exist,
Oh,
and
no.
unfortunately, I don't think it ever will have a consensus definition again. Like it's literally tweaking the potential of the future by changing words and what they mean
Oh,
today. So calling your favorite meme asset a meme coin when it's a token it's the beginning of the downfall. It's the beginning of idiocracy. And it's because of the amount of value, not just money, but the technology's value that it has to society implemented. It's so much of that value is being misrepresented in conversation, so it'll be misused in application. And it's insane. It's just a circle. It just keeps happening. We keep using words inappropriately, and nobody is doing anything to mitigate it or remedy it. I mean, I just saw Wax post something today saying, look at all these meme coins on Wax. And I'm like, I love you, but it's not a meme coin, it's a meme token. Words matter.
No, I definitely agree with you. I mean, even when you're looking at stuff where people say, "Oh, I've got all these meme coins," and then the next day, essentially, is how it feels. You have people talking about, "Oh, we're not a meme coin. We're a community coin." I'm like, but you've been a token the whole time, and I'm not sure you get that yet. So you can say what you want and keep tweaking the term to feel like it fits your situation best, but that doesn't help when we're going to person and asking what the definition is, and someone's
Right.
like, "Oh, well, we're a meme coin. Oh, we're a meme token. Oh, we're a community coin." You're like, you guys are all in the same group, but none of you know what you actually are.
Yeah,
So
dude. Facts.
confusion.
It started with Bitcoin first, man. I strongly believe the more we call Bitcoin digital gold, the dumber we sound, and moving forward, it will only get dumber. It's every time I hear somebody say Bitcoin is digital gold, I'm going to say gold is physical Bitcoin. And that is just as stupid as what you just said.
Yeah. Such a troll.
but that literally is just as stupid because the securities of gold and everything that follow
Everything.
with
What
the
the fuck,
blockchain,
dude?
they're just completely different.
It's so different. It's like saying a cow is a breathing meat protein tulip.
They're close.
I'm like, it's just like the word association is so dumb. Like, nobody calls an airplane a sky car. Could you
get behind
imagine
your
how
reasoning.
dumb society would sound if we did shit like that? But we're doing it now, and we will sound that dumb if we don't stop. And it's because, like, the 4chan, T9 slang lingo is starting to become used in mainstream media because of this industry. We're seeing, HODL and FOMO and all these things, like, just popping up in mainstream culture, and they're they're learning it through context that they don't have the foundational education to really get the context. So they're manifesting context and using it in a, that consensus of, we don't get it, but it must mean this, right? It's hard to kind of relate to like previous things, but it's happened
No,
time
so
and time again.
when you look at like, let's go back to the time of where flowers actually reigned the world for a little bit there because of the Dutch. Um, some people could call it FOMO because they had a fear of missing out on the newest thing, the newest age of the flower, where yes, it was slightly different and it had a different color variation, but at the end of the day, those flowers were mutated and they'd only last like 10 years or less, and then they'd all
And they
die
didn't
out.
reproduce, right?
Yeah, and they couldn't reproduce because there was only one way to get to them, and that's because you had to make sure that they got infected. And at the same time, you're like, you shouldn't be having FOMO over something like this, where it's going to end up, quote unquote, being a rug, sort of. When in other comparisons, you have, like, say, the stock market, where close enough to what the digital age, but not quite the same. Now you're having some of these stock market shows where they're saying FOMO, and they're saying you got to hold all these stocks, and it's completely different because it doesn't have the same value. Trading stocks doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be massive price drops and what's going to happen with that company. It has no real credence to what that company is producing in that moment. Their stock should not necessarily relate to how well their business is doing. Sure, yes, if the stock is going up in price, that should mean that they're doing well, but relatively speaking, it has no real credence to any part of their actual production process or their services. It's strictly just for a way for people to make money. But on the flip side of things, when you get into tokenization, when you get into crypto and blockchain, sometimes that's the whole entire basis of that company, as in their whole entire token relies on the price going up. That's what builds out their system. And if that price doesn't go up, then they do have the real chance of their company collapsing. It's I'd say completely different and honestly at a completely different speed in comparison to any of the other markets that are trying to use these terms nowadays.
Dude, you know what's crazy? Like, it sounded like you were describing Bitcoin because its only speculative value is its price, and because of its mining situation with the halving, it's like, oh shit, I think he's talking about Bitcoin without knowing he's talking about Bitcoin.
Yeah, kind of. Like, I can't even
Bitcoin
argue
is
that.
that coin, dude. It is. It has no reason to exist outside of price. Nobody decided to use its decentralized, immutable timestamp server for anything else. Ordinals are doing cool shit, but that didn't do anything for its value. Yeah.
I mean, I will argue that ordinals will eventually do something for its value, for the sheer fact that ordinals have taken over, I think it's almost like 4% of all total Bitcoin, and kind of like secluded it away into ordinals, which means it's not traded on the same platforms anymore. When you're buying Satoshis like that, it's not going through the other chains, or sorry, the other exchanges like they have before. This is completely different.
Yeah, things are changing so fast. Oh, can y'all hear me okay?
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
of course.
just wanted to give you
Okay,
a chance
sorry.
to talk.
My thing glitched out for a second. But things are moving so fast, and it is important to, try to keep up with it. And as we keep looking, forward into the new stuff that's coming, controlling the narrative by having these words, phrases, all these things that we're using to describe this experience and technology is going to be important to stay on top of, especially because, like, for marketing, being able to onboard people and kind of talk about what's going on in the industry is important, and being able to connect with your community is changing. And that's one thing that I've noticed, for all companies and all industries that are like involved with Web3 or not, is that society's changing, people are changing, their attention, what's grabbing their attention changes, their attention span, all this stuff. And these are things to consider as we're trying to help develop and grow this in a safe and productive way. But a lot of challenges, man, that people don't think about, and take into consideration when you're creating a project in Web3.
Dude,
So,
I just realized
Mickey,
we're
my
having the
question-
most serious conversation as fucking cows and a fox. This
I
is
know.
like a deep combo. And
Bro,
I'm just like,
I love-
wow, all this stuff
I
we've
love-
said, and we're cows and a fox.
I love how good the avatar is. I yawned and the cow's mouth like just
Oh,
totally
every time Toki chuckles, the shoulders jiggle and like it's like way too visceral. I love it.
There you go.
I forgot that this isn't who I am for a second. I like looked down and saw a human hand, not a hoof, and I was like disappointed.
Right.
I guess to like wrap things up though, and this kind of like did all lead to the leadway into like meetups and communities and what tokenomics can do when it comes to community coins. I saw here you want to talk a little bit about what community coin can do for the Miggy Clubhouse, but we can expand on that for any community and like the power of meetups to build a community. So just jump into that in a little bit if you'd like.
Yeah, of course. So one of the things I was talking about with Miggy, just outside of NFT NYC, was there is the Miggy Clubhouse, and you could actually provide a token to your community where you can hold any amount of that token, does not matter. And as long as you hold an amount of that token, you can get into community events. It's slightly gating the process of it all, but at the same time, it's showing that in some form or fashion, you actually are invested in the community. You had to have gotten the coin by some form or fashion, and you're actually wanting to be a part of that community in the moment. So I think that they're a great way for people to actually start to utilize them for real world events. I know that people have been looking at like fast action NFTs and how you can use them as tickets, but I don't think it always needs to be something that's going to essentially disappear right after it's done kind of thing. Because some of those NFTs, they're like, oh, well, okay, this is a great memory or something that happened, but I'm never really going to look at it again. Versus a community coin, you're like, oh, well, I actually still have some of this coin, and now I'm in Dubai and there's an event going on. All I need to do is show the fact that I have some of this inside my wallet right now and I can get into the Clubhouse event. Like, that sounds honestly like a great prospect of people just being like, oh, well, you need some of this coin to get in? Well, why don't I send some of that to you, and then we can all get in together? Like, not only does that help open people into the prospect of joining your community, but that means that anyone that you want to invite in, you don't need to worry about like, oh, well, we have to wait for the RSVP to find out if we can actually get into the event. No, you have the Clubhouse coin. Come on in, guys. Like, welcome.
And what's cool about that is that we just talked to, was it Adam? And he's there. Was he the one we were talking about?
Yeah, Adam with Decentralweb.
Yeah, you can kind of gatekeep, by having, needing for their chats, needing their token or NFTs. So this would be perfect, example of using those community tokens in such a way where you can even have your own gated chats. And I know, some people don't like that, but, at the very core of what, these meme tokens are is, communities, their little brotherhoods, sisterhoods, peoplehoods. People want to be in special groups, and it doesn't mean that nobody necessarily can get in or it's hard to get in, but it's nice being part of a club. And yeah, maybe the club is something that everybody can join, but it's cool to have some kind of distinguished, like, hey, I'm part of this club, and this club is having an event, and like Toki was saying, like, oh shit, like, I don't want to have to bother with maybe I don't get in or not. Like, it's like, oh, you got a token, you're going to be a part of the club, or maybe you get a free drink because you got a token. Everybody's invited to the party, but token holders get a free bar or some shit like that.
Well, it's I think it's like depending on like your class, right? Like lower class, middle class don't really get, like, I guess middle class does, but like lower class, making under $100,000 a year per person per household type vibe, right? It's like, I think still the definition unless inflation changed it. But like lower class, they don't really get the same thing out of communities or clubs as middle class and the upper class do. It's you're in a club in the middle class, upper class, that's on your college resume, that's on your job resumes, the applications that you're filling out, and they want references. They want to look into those clubs you were in and into those communities, because it is a deciding factor whether you get into the educational system that they're providing or the workforce that they're providing. Being able to take this and take that paper trail, it's not really paper, the ledger trail, and having a proof of engagement with those communities and saying like, here is my college application with this community badge. You can check my wallet. Here's the public address, and you can see everything I've been a part of in Web3 or the metaverse. Or here's the community, all the communities that I'm in, and here are their collectibles, and here's the addresses that I hold. Like I think the weight in which the youth growing up in this industry will be able to flex just by saying like I was part of a meetup, it will matter. It'll have more weight than it does with us these days, right? Like filling out a college application, like who cares if you're in crypto? But it's like, oh no, I've been going to a Bitcoin meetup like this, or I've been doing voluntary NFT programs like this, or I've been like, all of that is indisputable fact of proof of like you did it. And I think that will even add more value than any resume or college application has before, because of that, provability. Is like, did you really volunteer at your local fire department, or is your uncle just a fireman who's going to say you volunteered at the local fire department?
Right.
Genuinely,
Proof of doing it.
Yeah, I think the
POD.
tokenomics really provides more value to those real life, contributions that you do throughout your life as a kid and teen to adult. We used to value it, society used to value, like you go to the soup kitchen and you help the homeless, and now it is idiocracy. It's like, I can't believe you went to the soup kitchen to help the homeless, you fucking loser. It's like the opposite is kind of happening.
Right. Yeah, and it would be cool because then you could have, different community groups like there are all pop up. Like, what if there's one community group like the Pizza DAO, but all they do is...
I love that. Yes.
What if
Blunt
they
DAO,
like,
Pizza DAO, give me all the DAOs.
What if they're like a pick up trash DAO, or feed the homeless DAO, and so like as part of like your high school thing, you could join this community group and get community points by doing services as they do. Like, oh yeah, I was involved with these volunteer groups who would help and clean up these parks, or we would go feed homeless people, or we would volunteer. We would do all these things, and like you said, here's proof of those where maybe I have POAPs for every instance that I was a part of something.
Oh, imagine having a POAP every time you contributed to Red Cross or UNICEF. You know what I mean, dude?
And then I've earned
That's a
X
great
amount
idea.
of tokens. Like maybe you have a elite scale where it's like so many tokens put you at this status because that means you were at so many things earning, doing all this stuff, or maybe you have a token which still gives you that kind of status that, hey, you participated, but different levels to it and different degrees of participation, but proof that, hey, you actually were there doing stuff. Because especially community service, for being in trouble and things like that, it works for both being in trouble or for school. But
I actually learned that if you have to do community service because it's court ordered, it really doesn't matter. As long as you did the community service, you did community service, and that's what people want to look at. They don't really ask why you did it.
Exactly.
And I didn't know that till I had to do community service. I was like, oh, this is going to look good either way. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, and it helps, because there are a lot of groups where they need the extra hands, to do what they're doing.
And there's people that just want to do it because that's like their itch, and the only way to scratch it is to get out of bed and do it that day. And a lot of that argument is like, we don't need the government to build roads because there's some dude out there who just wants to build a road. That's his itch. He will scratch it by building you the road. So yeah, man, in Web3, I feel like a lot of that's going to pop up. I guess to kind of wrap things up, Toki, anything you wanted to leave off with, bro?
Well, quite honestly, I think that more people should honestly take advantage of the in real life events. I think that they are a great way to actually get to interact with the people inside your community, and it really does put a face-to-face kind of situation in there where I'd say it allows you to honestly be more open and honest with those people. Sure, sometimes I can understand people being afraid of being in a real life situation compared to being behind their computer, but more often than not, I have had the best time ever just getting out there and getting to experience things. And like you guys, I recognized you from the last time I saw you at NFT NYC, and I was like, oh my god, that's Ken. I gotta go say hi. There's no way I can get out of this and feel like I didn't miss out on something unless I go say hi to you guys.
And we got to hang out like
perfect.
all week because of that, bro. It was awesome hanging out with
cool.
you.
Yeah.
It was we got to
pretty
go on
much
many
it.
adventures, and it felt like we were in New York a lot longer than like 3 or 4 days. Anybody else?
Oh, for
I
sure.
feel like I got like a month worth of memories out of that shit, bro.
Yeah, it was fun. We got to do all the side events. It was good side quests. For real.
All I can picture is that guy from Liechtenstein.
Dude, we have to find that video. The Liechtenstein hashtag #MeToo video. Anybody find that? Please tag me.
Funny.
I think I might be a Liechtenstein celebrity now.
There's
Yeah,
a
right.
definite chance.
For real. Like,
Alright.
you're gonna be like Homer in the Japanese.
Yeah!
Mr.
Fuck!
Sparkle.
Yes!
Mr. Sparkle!
A Mr. Bosak.
Oh shit! That's exactly
cannibal
what's gonna
side.
happen to me if I go to
Mr.
Liechtenstein.
Barbaro.
I'm gonna end up
Yeah.
on a reality TV show.
I would love that.
Oh, freaking cows.
Oh, dude,
and
the fact
fox.
that you guys listening don't know what we're talking about is proof that you need to go to these real life events. NFT NYC, if you weren't there, you don't know the Liechtenstein guy. You don't know the crypto Me Too moments that happened to me. You don't know, guys. And this you
For
got to
real.
get out to these events and like seriously, if you can't even afford it, like just hang out outside in the lobby type vibe. That's where I hung out and met TJ Miller and all these people. Is like I wasn't even in the venue, so most of my memories were literally outside that front door. So definitely just show up, be present, just stand outside and say hi to people, shake hands, and you know you'll get the value out of it. It's priceless.
Sometimes you'll even get invited to an event that you have no idea even exists.
Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah. Those are usually the best ones, and that's how you don't find them any other way. You know, you just got to be there and make a friend, shake a hand, and somebody's gonna be like, "Yo, come with me to this thing," and it's gonna change your life.
Yeah, for real. Get involved, stay involved, be a cow or a fox.
Yeah, bros. It's totally up to y'all. You know, today's all we got. You know, tomorrow's never coming, and yesterday never happened. So, embrace
Yeah,
the present.
Mood to that.
Mood of that.
Mood to that.
All right,
cousin.
everybody. Thanks for listening. Thanks for
Oh yeah,
watching.
Shout out to Nico for joining us today.
Oh, hey, Nico. You got to hang out with us as our
Thanks
avatars.
for hanging out with us, Nico.
This
Yep.
is our Asvoria Web3 avatar vibes.
Yeah. Oh,
Don't
man.
forget to hit the repost if you're watching this on X. We have like 52 live viewers, so just hit that repost button on X. If you're watching this on another social platform, go ahead and share it out. Appreciate all the comments, feedback, and yeah, enjoy the weekend. We'll be back Monday,
Yep.
Miggy.
Yeah. Let us know what avatar you'll use when you interview with us. But yeah, appreciate you, Toki. Thanks, man. This
Love you,
was
bro,
fun.
bro.
Hey, I appreciate you guys both. Stay
Peace out,
foxy.
y'all. Oh yeah,
Moo.
moo to that. Moo.